There was a time when I thought peace meant staying quiet, not pushing back, not confronting, not making things uncomfortable. I wondered if boundaries after infidelity would even make a difference. I believed keeping things calm was the mature thing to do, the godly thing and the wise thing. But that kind of peace, the kind built on people pleasing, silence, and self erasure, isn't peace at all. That's avoiding conflict, and it's fear of rocking the boat. And for a long time, I didn't realize how much I was cooperating with my own disconnection from others, from truth, from God, and even myself. After betrayal, I had to relearn what it meant to honor my limits, not just with my ex, my kids, and others, but also with myself. Because every time I said yes when I meant no, every time I kept quiet when something crossed a line, and every time I told myself it's not that big of a deal when it absolutely was, I chipped away at my own sanity, my value, my faith, my courage, and my stability. So, in this video, I want to walk with you through what helped me stop violating my own boundaries and what it looks like now to live with honesty and not apologize for absolutely everything. After betrayal, there's a subtle but intense pressure to look stable, to look okay, to keep your tone soft, your face relaxed, and your faith strong. You feel like you're not allowed to fall apart because people are watching. Your spouse is watching, everybody's watching, and your family and friends all want to see you bounce back. And the person who betrayed you may want you to just get over it and stop talking about it already. That's because the reality of their betrayal makes them uncomfortable. And that pressure, it turns into performance. You start smiling when you're really scanning, nodding yes while your chest tightens, and saying it's fine when everything inside you is screaming otherwise. That mask doesn't protect you, it disconnects you. And often you start hiding from God and denying that instinct that everything is absolutely not okay. One of the most sobering realizations I've had was this. Even after I got divorced from my ex, I was still betraying myself. Not in dramatic ways, but in small daily patterns. I'd walk away from conversations feeling off and convince myself I was overreacting. I'd hear someone make a dismissive comment and smile like it didn't sting. I'd feel the tension in my chest, but talk myself out of it to keep the peace. The most painful part? This didn't start with others, it started with me. I lived for several years asking my ex small, reasonable questions. Simple things like, why are we out of grocery money? And I was told I was dramatic. He'd roll his eyes and say, oh, you're so anxious. And I should have just stopped asking questions. So eventually I did. I stayed quiet, and I called that keeping the peace. But that avoidance of conflict and confrontation didn't protect me, it buried me. I had to face the fact that I was cooperating with my own demise, even after I got out of the marriage, because survival had taught me that staying quiet when something had to be said was safer than being real. Here's what I've learned about false peace versus real boundaries. False peace is built on keeping your mouth shut to avoid conflict or any confrontation at all, tiptoeing and pretending like everything's fine when it's not. It looks polite, but it feels hollow. It sounds calm, but underneath, your whole body is on edge. Real peace, that's honest. It starts with telling the truth, first to God and to yourself, then to others. It doesn't always feel smooth. It doesn't always make people happy, but it's not really your responsibility to make everyone happy. That's an impossible expectation to live up to for anyone. Real peace and boundaries build a life you can actually stand on and walk in. Boundaries aren't about being controlling or unkind. They're about telling the truth, about what you can hold, what you need, and what's not okay. You can love people and still have limits. You can speak gently and assertively and still speak clearly. You can honor God and still say no and call out sin and what's not okay. Sometimes boundaries are twisted into myths that confuse people. Some say boundaries are controlling, unchristian, unloving, and not kind. But here's what they actually are and what they look like for me in real life. Choosing not to explain myself when someone tries to push me or coerce me into doing something that goes against my boundaries, beliefs, and values. Leaving a conversation instead of staying to manage someone else's emotions. Letting a pause sit in silence instead of filling it with justification. Saying that doesn't work for me without apologizing. So, boundaries are acts of consistent self respect. They are limits that help you stay whole and the best of who you are. God doesn't expect you to be anyone's doormat. That's not what submission is. That's a discussion for another video. But sometimes boundaries rattle other people. And that's not a sign that you're wrong. It's a sign that the dance of dysfunction is being stopped and you are growing into a healthy, God honoring person. Jesus had boundaries and he is perfect and he is God. So that means we need them too. Building confidence in my boundaries didn't come naturally to me. There was no such thing as a boundary in my childhood home. I wasn't raised to be assertive. I was raised to be agreeable and to never question adults or anyone, no matter what they were doing, even if it was harming me or someone else. I had to adapt to my environment to survive and stay safe. I also had to learn slowly and clumsily how to stop abandoning myself and my values. Here's what helped me. I wrote down what I needed before difficult conversations to help me stay clear when the emotions were high. I practiced one honest no per day. I declined an invite that was not in my bandwidth. I also paused texting and replied to someone. I prayed through boundaries instead of reacting in panic. I'd ask God, is this a boundary about fear or about truth? And He gave me peace and discernment when a boundary was needed. These actions retrain my nervous system not to people please. I now remember that boundaries aren't walls, they're doors, and I get to choose when to open them and when to close them with wisdom. The goal isn't to become rigid, it's to become rooted in truth and commit to reality. If you're trying to rebuild boundaries and you're confident in them, but your thoughts spiral the moment you try to hold the line, that's real. And that's where I started too. That's why I created a brand new 5-day plan to stop the spiral of intrusive thoughts about the betrayal, to help you clear the mental fog and start reconnecting with God with confidence and your assertive voice. And to go even deeper and get more lasting results inside the thought transformation bundle, I'll walk you through the exact tools I use to stop second guessing myself and start trusting the wisdom God planted in me. Both are linked for you below this video. And if you want more tips, subscribe to my channel so you get new videos on Therapy Tuesdays. Staying quiet can feel safer, but it will always cost you something. And eventually that cost is your peace, your sanity, and it can cripple your confidence and your faith. I know violating my own boundaries and values did that to me. If all you can say today is one honest statement to yourself, let it be this: I'm not going to keep disappearing and compromising the truth to make someone else comfortable. That's where healing begins. That's where I started. And if you're ready to keep walking this path with support, the next video breaks down why betrayal trauma feels so intense and why it mimics PTSD in ways most Christian spaces never talk about. I'll meet you there.